Can you hear me?
We can hear
Can
you,
you hear
Papa.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, all right, good.
All right, good.
I'll go on mute.
Before I forget, Can when we get everybody on, can we find out lately on the 181st Street Bridge in the morning? Can you guys hear me? In the morning, the 181st Street Bridge by Amsterdam going to the Bronx has been police activity causing a tremendous amount of traffic 2 days in a row. So I'm just curious if anybody knows what the reason for that is. Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. Hi, was the meeting started already or not
No,
yet?
no, we haven't started. I think we need another board member at least. It's just
Okay.
you, me, Barbara, and Jermina. Jermina. Jermina, are you on the train or the bus?
I'm officially home now.
Good. Nice to hear.
Thank you, Lizette.
I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes and we're gonna start. Since we're not passing any resolutions, I think that we can conduct our meeting with the same order.
We can't hear you. You're muted. Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you again. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Public Safety Committee. Today is Wednesday. It's supposed to start at 7, but considering that some of you guys, your jobs and your obligations usually don't allow you to be on time, but we're very considerate since this is a voluntary job, a hard job for that matter. Julio, welcome our visitors and the people on the attendees. You're more than welcome to speak at any time. We can either promote you or just give you access to speak. This is a conversation/meeting in which, yes, there is a formality, but I think that we should all participate equally in the conversation. Superintendent Miller, Mary, still love you, even if you don't love me. Michelle, welcome. OC Sergeant Rodriguez, Jocelyn, Jonathan, thank you for all the support you gave us. Jermaine, I spoke to you earlier, and everyone else who thinks that this is an important meeting to assist. So I'm gonna welcome all of you once again, and couldn't thank you enough for being here and meeting our quorum. Today I'm gonna give a chance to someone whom I do not know on a personal level, only heard of you. She wrote an extremely moving letter to the office, mentioning some things, and this is a community board, and the community means all of us, not just our version of things. So even if I read the letter, it wasn't as moving as if you wouldn't tell, if you would tell yourself, and the way that certain things impact you. So I'm gonna give you the floor for a few minutes and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what's happening in your side of town.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Bueno. Thank you for spreading the word, Mr. Smith. I'm the Director of Community Relations at Friends and Family Home Care, and my role is to serve the community, to feel out what our community members need and how we can help. We serve the sick and elderly members of the community, and we also provide jobs to thousands of community members, hundreds in Washington Heights. My coworker is here, David. So if he'd like to say a word as well. And we are located on Amsterdam between 179th and 180th. There's also a school down the block called Wheels that serves kids all the way from pre-K to 12th grade. Across the street is a beautiful park for the community where kids should be able to go play sports and people should be able to go enjoy. But what's happened is right next door to us, there's a methadone clinic and also a methadone safe space where they give clean needles to drug addicts and provide them with a room where they can go do drugs. And of course, I understand the point of this program, to provide clean needles to stop the spread of disease. However, I'm very upset in the location that they've chose to put these methadone safe space in clinics. And they're also expanding and adding a new one and expanding the one that already exists to another floor. So they could have put it somewhere away from like the center of the community. And instead they put it right in the heart of our Washington Heights community. And now like patients and just community members go outside and they're surrounded by people under the influence. And it's become a very dangerous part of town, which is supposed to be the heart of our community. So I believe that these places need to be moved to a less crowded area. And it's not a commercial area. This is an area for our members of our community where people live, where people go to school, where people play, where people work. And these clinics need to be put in an area that's less crowded, so our community members can be safe. So if David would like to add to what I just said. David, can you unmute yourself or do you need to be unmuted? Let me see.
Which one is David? The one with the 718 number?
He is, let me see. A 786 number.
786 number. David, I think you can unmute yourself. We can't hear you, Dave.
Let me ask him right now. Oh, he can unmute himself? Okay, let's see.
Yeah, I think he can.
Let me just text him and find out. He said he's speaking, but nobody hears him.
I'm trying to promote him to a panelist so that he can
Okay.
speak. We can hear him. There you go.
David, are you there?
Yeah, he can unmute yourself.
Just give him 1 minute, guys. Sorry.
I think we're gonna, there you go.
Okay. Hello?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for unmuting me. I was talking to myself there for a little while. But anyway, thank you all for having us here, and thank you, Michelle. That was very well said. I'll just reiterate again that we do understand the need of these services in the community, but we're just questioning the location of them. How can that be allowed? Near a park? How can that be allowed near schools? And then what we're seeing is a lot of these needles are just like laying, on the sidewalk. People are under the influence laying on the ground, like, they're under the influence kind of just hanging out in areas that we believe are not appropriate, but also, following people. Like I've witnessed, ladies that work at the office being followed to their cars or followed around the block. So I think it's just attracting a very dangerous environment. And what I would like to ask the community board is, has this been an issue in the past? Has there been any conversation or discussion around, these two methods? So one is a methadone rehabilitation center, and one is a methadone, I guess, safe space, or it's like a clean needle exchange program. So I'm wondering what your experience is with these organizations.
Yeah, well, the way that this meetings work, you get a kind of like finish your presentation, and then we open up to a Q&A, and then we can answer, all of us can answer, whatever questions you have. So if you have any more questions, so that we don't, so there's some order to the presentation, that would be kind of you to do it that way.
Okay, so I'll stop there. Michelle, if you have anything else to add, you can add, but let's stop there and open it up to the board then.
Yeah, I just want to finish with, this is the center of our community, like I said, and people need to be protected. They need to have a space. The kids who are a block away going to school from pre-K to 12th grade shouldn't have to witness this. And of course, I understand that there's an epidemic, a drug epidemic, but we could put these people, in a space that's not as crowded and protect our communities. So that's the most important to me. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Dave. Any of our board members, or even someone, I see a person, Cassandra Collazo. Can you unmute yourself? There you go, Cassandra. I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly.
I have a comment also when I get a chance.
No problem, Julio. Yeah, Cassandra. Miss Collazo, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Oh, yes, I'm very sorry. I I pressed the button by mistake. I'm really sorry about that.
Okay,
Okay.
it's all right.
All right.
Yeah, so before Julio, before you chime in all transparency, I've invited 3 times the center to come to this meeting to discuss some of the preoccupations that community residents have in reference to just about every item that you listed on your letter and that you just mentioned. So I just want to make sure that all of you
Okay.
understand that yes, they had been invited as well, that you're not here just because we didn't invite them so that they can give their version of what's happening. So I just want to I'll make that clear. Julio.
Thank you. Like said, and my apologies. Don't want to be distracted, so I want to turn on my camera so I won't distract anybody because I'm sort of just a mobile. So just wanted to tell a couple of things. The corner project has been in this community for over 20 years. They were before on St. Nicholas Avenue and 181st Street. That was not also the most ideal location. Obviously, the location that they're at now is not the most ideal as well because of the park and its surrounding. It does contribute to an eyesore, and it contributes to a lot of problems that perhaps some of the participants may bring into this community that's really unwanted. However, that being said, they've moved into that space. They have a very long lease at that space. I guess the state has made a significant commitment and investment. And, my questions really are, we do have these concerns. I'm not sure if we as community groups, organizations have approached the leadership of the, corner project of Wash Heights and presented these issues and had a dialogue with them and how they can, in fact, be good neighbors to all of us and provide a better service so that everyone would be a little bit more cognizant and happier with what they're doing, because obviously, what they're doing is very important. But I gathered, again, considering that they are going to be there, I don't know how long the lease is, I think it's worthwhile having this dialogue with them to educate them how they could become better neighbors.
Does anyone else have any opinions regarding, former corner project, now it's called On Point, New York, I believe it is. On Point NYC, they have a new name for whatever purposes. Ozzy.
I actually have a question. Michelle, did you try to speak to them to have a meeting with them, like a scheduled meeting to discuss the issues?
Yes, we did try, and like it was mentioned before by Mr. Bueno, that they're not willing to really speak, just like they were invited to this meeting many times. And what was said previously about the lease is making sense to me, because if they do have a long lease, I don't know the politics that's involved in this as well, and who gave them permission. I don't know the background of all of this. I just know what's happening in the community. And I see kids getting scared when they pass that block, and when they try to go across the streets of the park to play sports, they don't even want to use that park anymore because the drug
Who
addicts.
did you contact there in the facility that refused to have a meeting with you?
I went in, and I'm not always in that location. I'm moving around, but when I am, I try to go in and speak to them and find out details, and they just don't want to share. Maybe if anyone here was able to give me a better contact, I would try that as well. At this point, I'm willing to try anything, because especially if they have a long-term lease, this is going to be a huge problem for the community and a big danger.
My recommendation is for you to have an official meeting with them, not just come in and try to speak to somebody, because the people that may or may not be able to answer when you step in may not be the people that, you know, can give you more concrete information and in a way that they may be able to change some of the way they conduct their business. So I would say try to have like an official meeting with them.
I would love to, and maybe Mr. Bueno can give me his contact, but from what I hear from him, I mean, they're not showing up to these meetings to discuss our community. So overall, I think the main solution would be to move their location because there really is no other solution. I mean, when drug addicts are not in their right state of mind, and I really pray to God that all of them get the help that they need and they do get better and they stay healthy. And I pray for the best for all of them. However, to have them in the center of our community is a big danger to our community. And that's point blank. And the location needs to be moved. I'm not sure who we need to speak to in regards to that, but I'm willing to give any of my resources to the community board that I can, that I could possibly provide. We have thousands of members, and we have beautiful conference room, whatever I could do, any resources that I could provide, I could talk to the company, I would provide, but this is a huge problem for our community and it needs to be moved. So.
So thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Dave. We hear you.
Thank you.
And I think that as Julio perfectly pointed out, is a service that is needed, and so that give it a little bit of context. It was a decision made by the mayor's office to install 2 methadone places in New York City. One of them is in East Harlem, and the second one is in Washington Heights. Those are the 2 similar methadone treatments that there are, or cleaning. I think it's clean needles. I think it's really a concept. The clean needle spaces in New York City. Those 2, in those 2 communities, who happen to be one of the most economically distressed communities in Washington Heights and East Harlem. So I don't know what the reasoning behind it was. Whatever that was, I'm not here to challenge it. I don't have the authority to do so. And but that's our reality. Okay, so now based on our reality, I think as Julio said, and I'm gonna continue to dwell on what his opinion was, is to try and get their attention so that they can fulfill all of the beautiful promises that they've made along the way. They've vouched and promised to be good neighbors and have a unit that specifically deals with cleaning the needles in the parks, streets, and the train stations. Okay, we've met with the local city council, Carmen de la Rosa, Department of Sanitation, Department of Health, and the police department. And in these meetings, there was an accordance and an agreement that they would themselves would have a unit that would dedicate himself or themselves just to do that cleaning. So if they're lacking, what I suggest we do is to put our efforts together and our heads together and try a different approach, because our approach hasn't worked. Obviously, they would be here if they would listen to our invitation, but they're not. At every level, from the executive director to the day-to-day person, and obviously they're not listening. So we'll try a different approach and see how we can make your situation better, their situation with more accountability, and the neighborhood a little safer. That's pretty much what I can tell you at this point.
Okay, can I just add one more thing? Sure. So with, if it's okay and with your consent, Elisa, I'm more than willing to work with Ebenezer and get a hold of the executive director and help schedule some sort of meeting between Michelle and her organization, and of course the community board, so that at least there's a dialogue taking place and they can fully understand how this community feels about them not living up to their commitment.
It would be ideal, Julio. It's something that we can work out. So Michelle, are you
That
open
would be
to
great.
Yeah, I would love that, Julio, and thank you so much for that amazing idea. So as soon as possible, because this problem is only getting worse and they're expanding now. So thank you so much for that idea.
Sure.
Yeah.
So with LSA's permission, then I will work with Ebenezer, the district manager, and schedule that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
So Jermina, any comments? Mary, any comments? Anyone else has any comments to make? No? Rabbi, anything? Okay,
I'm good. Yeah.
thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank
So
you very much.
We're taking baby steps towards a dialogue,
Yes.
right?
Step by step.
There you go. So this is the place where things at least get talked about. I'm not
Yes,
gonna say that we get real solutions, but at least we talk about the hard things that people don't want to talk about otherwise.
exactly.
So the community boards is yours. Anytime that you guys feel like not just that issue, but any other issues, like come in and like Mary Anderson, she's our chair. She's the chair of our aging committee.
Mhm.
She holds different meetings in our different residential facilities. She's a go-to person that you guys can have as should I hold a meeting in your location? Come to see it, what it looks like, and so forth. So we have a lot of
Perfect.
resources that can assist you with some of the needs that you may have.
Thank you so much. And I'd love to have you, Mary Anderson and Mr. Smith, Mr. Bueno, whoever else wants to come visit our location. We have a beautiful conference room. We can meet there. We can meet, in your location, whatever you guys prefer. And likewise, if you have any issues, regardless of this one that have to do with the community, I'm always there and we care and we want to see our community prosper and our people prosper. So, let's do that, and please come to us also if there's any way we could help with our resources. I would love to.
Yeah, just make sure that you have coffee and food.
Yeah, coffee.
Not Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Go to the bakery around the corner.
The good stuff, yeah.
Don't bring us no Dunkin'.
Not the
Donuts.
watery coffee. Yeah.
We're in the Heights. We're not downtown, so you know.
I love it.
Okay, all right. Love
Thank you
it.
so much,
No
everyone. Thank
problem.
you.
Thank
All right.
you, and thank you,
appreciate
Dave.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. So crime stats from the 33rd and 34th. I read Sergeant Rodriguez, and I thought I had Jimenez, but he's not there.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. Sergeant Rodriguez, the 33rd Precinct. So I just want to start off by giving you an overall percentages of crime. So overall, out of all the major crimes, the precinct is down 29.7%. That's all the crimes altogether. I'm going to break them down now by each crime. So right now, as far as grand larceny autos, which is stolen vehicles, we're down 30%. Grand larcenies, we're down 54%. Burglaries, we're down 22%. Felonious assaults, we're down 16%. Robberies, we are up 17%. Anybody any questions for me?
Jose.
Yeah, the $1 million question I ask every time and I don't get it every time. Any reports of animal cruelty?
No reports of animal cruelty, no.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Jermaine?
Hi, good evening. So I wanted to ask specifically about the situation in the train station 191st on the 1 line where a young kid was stabbed. That was recently. I'm not sure this applied to your precinct, but during the summertime when we was out of session, another young kid was stabbed on 137 1 line. So that's about 6 stops from each other. So what I want to know, or would like to clarify for the community, it's the protection of youth on subway lines. I understand that NYPD has increased the number of patrol officers on our subways. But I was just wondering specifically these crimes that the time span is not that far by which they've happened. Is the NYPD or our local precincts from 33rd, 34th doing something specifically collaboratively around youth crimes? Because from what we saw, they were both young men under the age of 15. So I was wondering if there's any initiative around that kind of crime prevention or something for the parents who specifically have young boys, anything for them.
Okay, that's a good question. I want to first start off by saying both incidents happened outside the 3-3, so I don't have an answer for those incidents specifically. The 3-3, we don't have any incidents like that. But like you have said, we did increase patrols in the train stations. And I know for my precinct alone, we do joint collaborations with the Transit District 3. We do collaborations, then we call them up, let's say, hey, let's meet at this location, let's check the train cards. And my command, I can speak for my command. Other commands I can't speak for.
Thank you for that.
Let me ask you, the type of crimes, when you said that robberies went up, what kind of, is there violent robberies or what are we, can you separate them if you can?
Yeah, so basically, so one of the increases we got right now, one of the robberies is, it's actually like, so to explain it, we got about, so there's a citywide pattern right now. So basically after the guys come out the clubs, the guys wearing their flashy jewelry, they're getting followed from the club. So I guess maybe like to get food after the club, and they'll get gunpoint robbery. So they get followed from the club, the guys who flash their jewelry, and they get robbed for their jewelry. It's happening in Brooklyn. I mean, it's happening in the Bronx and over here, Washington Heights. And then it's also another pattern where like it's about 15 incidents, Bronx, Manhattan, of kids coming up on those gas scooters and robbing people at gunpoint.
Wow.
It's a connection between the Bronx and Upper Manhattan, Washington Heights.
Ms. Miller.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So is it Sergeant Rodriguez? I'm sorry, I forgot. It's
Yeah,
Sergeant Rodriguez. Hi. Okay, so I'm a longtime resident. I live on 165th and Broadway. So I had a question because last week I had my window open. I forgot what night last week, and I heard something that sounded like gunshots. Sure enough, I got a notification on my Citizen app. Right across the street from my building, there was, I think, 2 people got shot. They said that there was like 5 men in a car. I think it was the next day or possibly 2 days later. There was a shooting on 162nd in St. Nicholas, broad daylight, where somebody reported it was 5 men in a car. The next night after that, the next day after that, or 2 days later, there was a shooting on West 163rd Street and Broadway. I'd like to know, were those all related? Is it gang related? What was, because I'm here like 16 years. I have never seen that happen with like 3 shootings, like almost one day after the other. And, you know, this is like kind of unnerving. I'm a senior citizen. And, you know, I walk by there to go to my supermarket. You know, it's a little unnerving to have all these shootings within a very short amount of time. And I would just like to know, have they been apprehended? Is it still an open case? Are they gang related or whatever?
Okay, good question. So you're right in all that. I can't get too much in detail, but what I can say is we do have persons of interest, and we did identify the different incidents, and we know who we're looking for, and it will be handled.
Okay, so the person has not been apprehended yet, but they are working on it and they know who it is.
We identified the involved parties, yes.
Okay, and that's all the shootings, the one on West 165th and Broadway, as well as the one on 162nd and St. Nicholas and 163rd and Broadway?
Correct. We got all those incidents. We have identified the people we're looking for.
Okay, I hope they find them soon because it's a little, you know, unnerving. I just wanted to know, was this like somebody just driving around the neighborhood and randomly shooting people? Or is this like somehow related?
I can tell you it's not random.
Okay. It's still unnerving. You know,
No, I
there's
get it.
people there's people
been-
walking around with their children and babies in strollers and all of that. And, you know, it's just like shoot out at the OK Corral, you know, in the middle of the day or whatever, and not giving regard to that there's people walking down the street and anybody could get hit with a straight. I think actually what I saw on Citizen app, I don't know if it was true, but there's a woman, the one on 165th and Broadway, right across the street from my house. There was 2 people shot. Somebody got a flat tire, a bullet hit
It was
the
one.
car.
One.
The one on West 165th and Broadway, somebody was sharing the video on Citizen app, and there was a car in front of the bank by Chase Bank, and there was a bullet hole in the back of the car. There was a car sitting there. I guess, you know, somebody just, you know, people are always double parking and running into the bank to use the ATM. Whoever shot, they shot out the person's tire. They had a flat tire and a bullet hole toward like the back of the car. And I had also heard that a pregnant woman was shot. I don't know if that's true. So I don't know.
So yes, a pregnant woman was shot. She was shot in the buttocks.
Was she the target? Or they would go?
I can't give you that. Because the case is still going. You don't want to
terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I mean, you know, pregnant women getting hit with I mean, anybody getting hit with a bullet is terrible. But,
Correct.
you know, a woman carrying a child, I mean, you know, that's so, I mean, do they have like, I hardly, one more thing, I hardly ever see like any patrol cars going around. So now are they like beefing up the patrol because of this, you know, on the lookout for who they know who it is? Are they beefing up the patrol around the area?
Okay, so basically, there's no beefing up patrol, but everybody's aware of cars, persons of interest. They get addressed at roll call every day.
Okay.
The cars are out there. It's just unfortunately, this precinct doesn't have a lot of police officers, but they are out there, and everybody's aware of the vehicles and people involved, and they will be apprehended soon.
Okay. I hope so. Thank you, Sergeant Rodriguez. Thank you.
Okay, after your presentation, does anyone else have any questions before I move on to the 34th, whom I do not see here tonight?
I wanted to follow up on what Cheryl asked. You can disclose this if it's appropriate or not, but I was wondering, are the individuals of interest directly from the Washington Heights neighborhood, or are they coming from a different neighborhood?
I can't really tell you that. I can't.
Okay, no worries. But thank you, Sergeant. Thank you.
Anybody else? Are you guys getting back to those vehicles checkpoints that you guys used to have, especially in 155th, the bridge coming from the Bronx, in which you guys used to do that like about every 3 months or something? Are you guys getting back to do that at any time?
You know, I don't have a direct answer for that. I know they do random checkpoints, but I don't have an answer for that question.
They used to work. Okay. Thank you, Sergeant Rodriguez, for your patience and the knowledge that you're bringing us, and letting us know that you guys are doing the hard work. I don't see the 34th. Jocelyn Minaya from the District Attorney's Office, anything that you want to share with us?
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. Jocelyn Minaya with the New York County District Attorney's Office, the Director of the Washington Heights Office. I just wanted to just once again reiterate the opening of our new housing and tenant protection unit that DA Bragg has instituted within our Financial Fraud Bureau, where our office is going to really be taking a look at you know, and assessing complaints about landlord harassment or deed fraud, really targeting people that are using, you know, unscrupulous means to either evict tenants or you know, stash apartments or withhold apartments or apply for government programs for you know, federally funded rent relief, and then renting them at market value. We just actually had an indictment of a company that was doing exactly the same thing. So I'm very happy that this unit is up and running. I suspect that we're going to be swamped with a lot of complaints. And, you know, housing insecurity is right up there with food insecurity. It's right up there with, you know, the things that actually drive crime. You know, if someone's not secure where they're going to live or where the next meal is coming from, you know, we know that these things are definitely crime drivers. So, you know, I thank the community board for helping us to spread the word. If you suspect that anyone is being harassed by their landlord or may potentially be a victim of a fraud or a scheme, please send them my way, or you can send them, refer them directly to our housing unit. And I can give the hotline if you're interested. It's 212-335-8900. We're going to try, and once the ADA that's heading that unit, once he settles in, we're going to try and set something up with the CB12's housing committee, so that he can come and speak to them, or designate someone to come and speak at the committee for housing for CB12. Then finally, I also just wanted to announce, you know, we've been talking a lot about crime and the crime that we see, and the crime that's overt, and the crime that the police department is really trying hard to keep the numbers down. But then we also know that there's a type of crime that we all don't see. And that's a crime that happens, you know, through the internet. It's specifically through what it's called the dark web. So basically what the dark web is, it's a World Wide Web content that exists on darknets, and usually use internet, but require specific software and configurations or authorizations to access. And what that means is we all have computers that have IP addresses. I hope we all know what, you know, what our IP address is and what that's for. And it's a way for people to be able to trace exactly where content is coming from. On the dark web, these addresses are untraceable. So basically the dark web is used for legal matters, but also for very illegal and illicit matters. So we just closed a case where this person was arrested for being a ringleader of a major dark web drug trafficking scheme. And basically what they were doing was fabricating drugs. Some of them were fake, some of them were laced with fentanyl. I'm sure you've all heard of fentanyl lately in the news, and how drug overdoses are definitely on the rise, and basically laundering more than $2 million in cryptocurrency out of here of Manhattan. So, you know, through the DA's office, investigators, they seized the largest quantity of pills in New Jersey state history, including approximately 600,000 Xanax tablets that they were able to manufacture, 500 glassines of fentanyl-laced heroin, and a whole bunch of other illicit drugs, along with pill presses, illegal firearms, and thousands of dollars worth of cryptocurrency. So this person was just sentenced to 9 years in prison. You know, and the top count that he was convicted of was operating as a major trafficker. So I say all that to say that, you know, not only are the investigations going on above ground, so to speak, where everyone can see them, but, you know, our office has a state-of-the-art cybercrime unit and a cybercrime lab, where we're also trying to tackle crime in places where we as citizens don't even see or don't know that's happening, but can potentially hurt our community. So I just wanted to share that information with you also. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn?
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So I wanted to raise two issues with the 34th, and I suspect these are concerns that they're well aware of, but I just wanted to stress how they're affecting the community and how unsafe so many of us feel. If you're familiar with Inwood, you know the C-Town on Broadway right off 207.
Yes.
So there's the subway stop right at the end of the line. Within 1.5 blocks of that C-town, there are 4, count them, 4 whiteboard, eraser, drug dealer type of operations going on. So, you know, I'm not a police officer, I'm not a detective, but you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see what's going down. The most brazen one is the one right next door to the C-town. It's to the left of the C-town as you're facing it. We have seniors shopping there. We have moms with babies shopping there. To use a phrase in my very bad Spanish, no tiene vergüenza. One morning, I saw a guy pull up, 10 o'clock in the morning, pull out his little whiteboard. He walked away, and then within, I'm saying 5 minutes, there's a Grateful Dead stoner left over from the 60s kind of guy, someone who you normally don't see in our neighborhood, and you see things pass between hands. So you have that. You have on 207 between Cooper and Broadway on the south side of the street in front of, there's like a little candy store right next to the pet store.
Right.
There are guys, they have their lawn chairs, they're comfy. They're usually like 4 of them hanging out. Their little whiteboard with all their little products. Then you have the 2 long-standing problems that I know the police have really tried and have made some efforts there because they see them less frequently. There's on 204 between Broadway and Vermillia, opposite of the post office. And I know from past calls like this, it slipped out that there was a really serious drug bust there, that Senator Jackson's office got involved in trying to put pressure on to get that addressed. I see them less frequently, but recently I was going to the post office and I saw them, the whiteboard was leaned up against the car on the north side of the street, and then, you know, kids hanging out on the opposite side of the street. And then there's on 204, again, the other side of Broadway between Cooper and 204, that where the Dyckman House Museum is. They've taken away the benches there where people used to hang out, and it seems to be less activity, but there was one day, you know, guys with their lawn chairs. So again, this is a 1.5 block radius, and these are four sites. So I just wanted to know from the 34th what they're doing. I'm sure they're aware of them, but again, we're feeling it in the community. We really are feeling it. And then connected to what someone else brought up earlier with this pattern, it was the officer from the 33rd, of the motor scooters and the thefts. It's so much better than last year. It's so much better than earlier this year. But the number of ATVs and motor scooters that are illegal, with reckless driving, with speeding, going the wrong way, doing tricks in the street. Just today at 5 o'clock, I'm walking down Broadway, so I'm near Fort Tryon Park. So right near the post office, the one at Washington, Fort George. There are 3 kids, 2 on like scooter motorcycle things, and one's on an ATV, you know, the 3 big wheel guys, and they're popping wheelies. 5 o'clock. Someone's going to get hurt. We've seen this in the news, so many tragic incidents where it's an elderly person crossing the street, or a mom and a baby, or a little child. And I know the police have a do not pursue policy, which makes so much sense, but I just wanted to bring home the point, this is still an issue in our community. So those were the 2 really important things that I wanted to bring up for the safety of our community. And many thanks to everyone on this committee for helping keep us safe.
Thank you, Lynn. I recorded your questions and your comments, and I forwarded them to 34th Precinct CEO Castillo, who will be reaching out in some sort of way tonight in order to address a lot of the things that you just mentioned. He's out in patrol right now.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, you know, but he will be listening in as soon as I send him the message or the text message that I recorded. So I just want you to be safe first and foremost. Okay, Ozzy, you have raised hand.
Yeah, I have a question. and it's the same related to what Lynn was talking about on 207 between Broadway and Cooper. I spoke to some businesses there, and apparently because of the drug dealing situation that's going on, a lot of people are crossing the street and not getting into the stores on that side, on the south side of 207 between Cooper and Broadway. And it's becoming more a business situation that's a problem that I'm not sure how the 34th would like to address that, but it absolutely need to be addressed. The last thing we need is businesses losing business because of the illegal drug selling that's going on the street. And it's really not pleasant. They're sitting there. It's not the only place, but over there, that they are sitting there, taking some section of the sidewalk, and it's very unpleasant to walk by. I would like to hear more from the 34th about that.
Well, as I said, they're not here tonight, and I'm gonna try and get them to hear Lynn's comments and your comments, and pretty much try and do the best I can, because I'm not, what I'm hearing is not very promising. I reading what the article about Governor Huckles and her admission that the system, has failed. In that particular situation, the woman that was complaining and blaming her for a specific issue, but overall, it's pretty tough to try and just said that the cops are the sole responsible for a lot of the things that we are rightfully complaining about. But I'm not sure that it's just them. I don't want them to feel like they're the low-hanging fruit and the scapegoat for the overall situation. The public safety now is just, and I've heard and had a lot of conversations with business owners who feel like, before the pandemic, they had more business during the pandemic than they do now. And I say, how? Well, I don't have any foot traffic. People are scared to leave their homes. People are scared to take on the subways. People are scared to take the buses. So, it's just we're living in a weird and interesting times, and we want a little bit more action from the police department, but how much can they do? I don't have an answer. I honestly don't.
Well, let's hope they can get back to us and let us know how much they can do.
Yeah, I was a witness to an apprehension, an arrest on 169th in Amsterdam, across the street from the school there, middle school there. Today's Wednesday, Monday. Yeah, Monday. Some young guy was running. The police was chasing him. Some plainclothes detectives. So they caught him, pushed him down, and they, put his shirt up, and he had a gun. That was on Monday, and I saw him today, same corner. So yeah, the whole system, it has to be revamped. They just, people have to have accountabilities the way that they used to be, in which, if you committed a crime of a certain type, you would pay for it, because at the end, we, the normal citizens, we feel unprotected. You leave your home, but you don't know whether you're coming back or not. So it's not a good feeling to have. And I don't want to rant and rave, but damn, it's just tough. So, Superintendent Miller, before we leave and go to all business.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to share my screen very quickly, if only the host can share. All right, someone give me permission to.
Yeah, you can share. I think if you're a panelist, you can share.
Yeah, I prepped it. Hold on.
Please proceed now. You should be able to
could-
share now.
I can share. Okay, so let's.
Yes.
All right, share screen. Okay. Zoom, mic. Okay. Yep. Check everything on your screen. All right. Start broadcast. 3, 2, 1. All right. Your screen sharing. Share device audio on. Okay. So, all right. All right. So, quickly. All right. Everybody can see the screen?
Yes.
All right. So we just we had our ribbon cutting a couple of weeks ago. We have some new signage, the transitional housing, the cutting. It was a very good event. Officers, our commissioner was there. The commissioner of HRA and DHS were there. That's our commissioner, Anthony Annucci of New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. This, the governor's representative was Catherine Garcia, who's the statewide director of operations. Gary Jenkins and Jocelyn Carter were there. Reform Alliance is a organization in the community that provides employment for this population. They were there. Lala Anthony is one of their board members. So she was there. This is one of the residents who spoke and just talked about his experience. The suit he's wearing was provided by the Manhattan DA's office. They provided us with clothing for a men's boutique. So, you know, we did a ribbon cutting, as you could see. Staff, they were all involved in the ribbon cutting and representing, you know, George Washington Bridge and Washington Heights. That's basically a quick snippet of how it went, because I'll stop sharing my screen now. If I know how, stop sharing. Okay, stop. So basically, we've been going on 3 months now. We got past the ribbon cutting stage. We've had to make some adjustments based on behavior. But the one thing that I know people were concerned with previously was if crime it was going to be increased because we had the residents there. So none of these gentlemen in 3 months have been arrested in this precinct, have not done anything to, and we've been able to get some resources, you know, to help them, and really, which is, we're called the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. We're not the Department of Punishment. We're trying to do things to help successful outcomes happen for returning citizens. And we also try to be good neighbors. So we will be donating 50 turkeys to the school next door on November 17th in preparation for Thanksgiving. So that's basically it. Thank you.
I know Ozzy has a question, right? No? You good? All right.
Well, if there is an update about the ACs, then that will be great. And I don't try to make a joke out of it because it's not funny. I know it's we're talking about it and it sounds like what, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So it will be nice to hear updates about that. And I'm going to keep pushing.
Well, I think you should go for heaters now, Ozzy, because maybe they don't even have heaters. Winter time.
It's really funny. When April comes around, you know, that'll be a prime time to push that again. Because it really, like, no residents are saying anything because it's just not, you know, it's one of those things you have to be feeling it for the moment. Remember, we did put ACs in the program area. So and the difference for these gentlemen is they don't have to stay. They can leave throughout the day and go somewhere that's cooler. And we do have some cooling places in the facility, but I'm with you. I'd love to get it. So anything that can happen to anything that can go on and make that happen, I'd appreciate it a lot. So fair enough. Thank you.
Okay. Jermina.
Hey, Superintendent Miller, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, thank you. I wanted to ask just quickly, it's called Edgecombe Transitional Housing now. What was it called before?
There's Edgecombe Correctional Facility. And then I think if you look us up on GPS, we're now on GPS as Edgecombe Residential Treatment Facility, and which has the transitional housing program. So there's still the correctional facility because that's the work release where the women are. But so we're a dual purpose building, basically. The men are not inmates. They're not incarcerated individuals. They're on parole. The women are still considered incarcerated individuals, but they furlough out for work and things of that nature.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. We've gotten past our presentations from all the city agencies that deal with public safety. We are going to move to new business and old business. All business, Julio, would you like to chime in and talk about the
Sure.
resolution on 168th
Yeah.
Street train station, please?
Sure. Thank you, Elisa. So I just want to update that, although things appear to have quieted down somewhat on the 168th Street subway, we still have concerns about that, and additionally concerns with the scaffolding that continues to be there. God only knows when they'll take it down, and it's still it is an eyesore and generates debris as the wind brings everything down and throws it into the subway. Assemblymember Manny La Rosa, along with Assemblyman Al Taylor, along with I believe it's 5 community members: Maria Lizardo, Maria Lizardo from NIMIC, Mino Lora from People's Theater Project, Coach Dave from Team Dreamers, Maria Luna from the 33rd Precinct Council, and I believe there may be one other person signed off on a letter that went out. I believe it may have gone out the latter part of last month. And again, it was sent to the Department of Buildings, urging them to act and resolve the issue of having that scaffolding there all the time. My request with the board is I would love to see the board be able to also to take a positive stand on that by adopting a resolution that would also make it clear to Department of Buildings and of course the police department and the transit of the importance of really removing that scaffolding and providing the resources necessary to combat the homelessness on the subway, and also to create a safety atmosphere for everyone who uses that subway. So I know there was a resolution that may have was presented or suggested some months ago. I think at that time it may have been Isidro Medina from the BID who made the initial recommendation. I believe there were further discussions that took place, and I'm just hopeful that the board would continue with that and adopt the resolution.
You got it. So we'll work around the language and we'll present it so that we can ask the board to speak to your recommendations, which I think are fair and it'll be a benefit for all of us. I'm sure that a lot of people, especially after dark, during the winter time specifically, or especially, don't feel that safe when they walk around 168th Street and Broadway. I think I've seen how people rather just walk across the street or cross the street to the corner where Chipotle is and they just walk across so that they don't have to walk, under the bridge there. So yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's a problem that we should speak as a board as to, the removal of the side bridge there. Anyone else have any more comments to make? No, it was a great, short, sweet, and informational meeting. So I'm gonna get a motion on the floor to have the meeting adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, but
Thank you
if you
all.
want a committee member, but nobody's speaking up.
You
Thank
have
you,
a great
everyone.
night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.